Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Mari Summer. I am the Marketing and Events Coordinator here at Corporate Central. We are super excited to have you with us for today's webinar, Bringing People, Helping People to Life Through Employee Volunteerism. In this session, our very own Amy Nowak will walk through how credit union leaders can take a more intentional approach to employee volunteer programs. Today's presentation will be recorded. Towards the end of the webinar, I will drop a quick survey link in the chat. We would really appreciate you taking a brief moment to complete that. Your feedback really helps us plan future educational sessions. We'll also have time for a live Q&A at the end of the webinar, so feel free to submit your questions at any point using the chat or Q&A feature. We'll also be monitoring that as well and answering those questions. With that, I will turn it over to Amy.
Thank you, Mari. For the ease of sharing the presentation, I'm going to turn my camera off. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amy Nowak, and I'm a Human Resources Generalist with Corporate Central Credit Union. Today, we'll discuss a topic that sits at the intersection of employee engagement, culture, and the credit union philosophy of people helping people. My goal isn't simply to talk about volunteer programs. It's to share how volunteerism can become a meaningful strategy for strengthening culture, connecting employees to purpose, and creating a deeper sense of belonging within our organizations. But before I share strategies and statistics, I'd like to start with how my own perspective on volunteerism has changed over the years. I've watched coworkers who barely knew each other build friendships while volunteering. I've seen employees discover causes they became passionate about. And I've seen firsthand how volunteerism can strengthen culture in ways that traditional engagement activities sometimes can't. Volunteerism builds relationships. It gives employees opportunities to work alongside people they may never interact with during a typical workday. Those relationships often extend far beyond the volunteer event itself and contribute to a stronger, more connected workplace. At Corporate Central, employee engagement and connection are priorities. Volunteerism is one of many ways we help employees build meaningful relationships, connect to our mission, and strengthen our culture. We believe those efforts have helped create an environment where employees feel valued, connected, and engaged. In fact, Corporate Central has been recognized as a great place to work. While there is no single initiative that earns that kind of recognition, I believe opportunities for employees to connect with one another and our community play an important role in building the kind of culture employees want to be part of. Now, I'm not here today because I think volunteerism is the answer to every engagement challenge. I'm here because I think it is one of the most overlooked tools HR leaders have available. And this isn't just my personal experience. The research tells a similar story. Employees want purpose, not just a paycheck. One of the biggest workplace trends we're seeing today is that employees, especially millennials and Gen Z, are looking for meaningful work and opportunities to make a positive impact. In fact, nearly half of working adults say they would consider taking a pay cut for work they find meaningful. And 85% of millennials say they would reconsider salary for a job with greater purpose. Purpose is becoming a major driver of employee engagement and well-being. More than 9 out of 10 millennials and Gen Z employees say having purpose in their work is important to their job satisfaction. This matters because work is no longer viewed strictly as a paycheck. For many employees, it's part of their identity and how they contribute to something larger than themselves. That's where volunteerism comes in. Volunteer opportunities help employees connect their daily work to broader mission and community impact. For credit unions, that's especially powerful because community impact and people helping people are already at the heart of what we do. Credit unions are uniquely positioned to leverage volunteerism because community impact is already embedded in who we are. Volunteer isn't something separate from our mission. It's a direct extension of the cooperative principle of concern for community and our commitment to people helping people. When employees see that connection, volunteerism becomes much more than an activity. It becomes part of organizational identity. Of course, believing in volunteerism and building a successful volunteer program are two very different things. Most organizations face challenges along the way. Before we go further, I'd like everyone to think about your own organization. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to volunteerism? Over the years, I've heard many of the same concerns from HR professionals. So let me ask a few questions that may sound familiar. Low participation. Are employees simply not interested, or is participation low because the opportunities aren't convenient? Could the event be scheduled at a different time, a different day? Are employees being given enough notice? Have we offered a variety of opportunities that appeal to different interests? Sometimes the issue isn't a lack of interest, it's a lack of accessibility. Lack of time. Do employees want to participate but feel too busy? Could volunteer opportunities be shorter? Could volunteer time off help remove that barrier? Are managers supporting employees and taking advantage of those opportunities? Many employees care deeply about giving back, but time is often their biggest obstacle. Leadership support. Do leaders say volunteerism is important, but rarely participate themselves? Do employees see volunteerism as a true organizational priority or just another initiative? Could greater visibility from leadership make a difference? Sometimes the challenge isn't whether leaders support volunteerism, it's whether employees see that support in action. Finding opportunities. Are employees struggling to find meaningful ways to get involved? Are available opportunities aligned with the causes employees care about? Are there enough options to accommodate different interests, schedules, and comfort levels? Sometimes the challenge isn't a lack of willingness, it's finding opportunities that resonate with a diverse workforce. The good news is that these challenges are common and they can be overcome. Throughout today's session, I'll share some of the lessons we've learned and practical strategies that have helped us build and sustain a successful volunteer program. For HR leaders, volunteer programs aren't just nice to have. Data proves it. Research consistently demonstrates a strong business case for volunteerism. Across multiple studies, employees report positive outcomes related to well-being, workplace pride, leadership development, and overall enthusiasm for the organization. What's particularly interesting is that these benefits impact both the employee and the organization. Employees feel more connected, more engaged, and more fulfilled, while organizations benefit from stronger relationships, improved morale, and a greater sense of community. Volunteerism provides employees with opportunities to develop skills, build connections outside of their day-to-day responsibilities, and see the impact they can make together. Those experiences often create the kinds of meaningful moments that employees remember long after the event itself. At the end of the day, lower stress, stronger leadership skills, greater pride, and higher enthusiasm aren't just statistics. They're the building blocks of a more engaged workforce, stronger retention, and healthier culture. The data tells us volunteerism can have a powerful impact, but where does that impact actually show up inside of an organization? I like to think about volunteerism through three lenses: engagement, retention, and culture. It's easy to focus on the community impact, and that's certainly important. But volunteerism isn't just good for communities, it's also good for an organization. As HR leaders, we're constantly looking for ways to strengthen engagement, improve retention, and build a positive culture. Volunteerism can support all three. First, engagement. Volunteer opportunities give employees a chance to connect their work to a larger purpose. When people feel that their organization cares about something beyond the bottom line, they often feel more connected to the mission and more motivated to their work. Second, retention. Employees are more likely to stay with organizations where they feel proud to work. Volunteer programs can create meaningful experiences that reinforce that pride and strengthen employees' commitment to an organization. And third, culture. Volunteerism brings people together in ways that daily work often doesn't. Employees build relationships across departments, share experiences, and see organizational values put into action. At Corporate Central, we have seen the impact of this firsthand. Activities that bring employees together, whether through volunteerism, employee development, or community involvement, help strengthen relationships and reinforce our mission. While no single initiative creates a great workplace culture, opportunities to connect and contribute help create an environment where people want to work. We believe those experiences have contributed to the strong engagement and culture that helped us earn Great Place to Work recognition. The bottom line is this: volunteerism creates value beyond the community impact. It helps employees find purpose, strengthens commitment, and builds the relationships that shape culture. One lesson we've learned is that participation increases when our organizations offer both structure and flexibility. Some employees appreciate organized opportunities. Others want freedom to support causes they personally care about. Both are important. One of the foundations of Corporate Central's volunteer strategy is our Corporate Cares program. Corporate Cares provides company organized volunteer opportunities throughout the year, making it easy for employees to get involved and volunteer alongside their coworkers. What I love about this program is that it removes many of the barriers that often limit participation. Employees don't have to search for opportunities, coordinate logistics, or figure out where to start. The opportunity is already there. Over the years, our employees have participated in a wide variety of experiences. We have volunteered at Hunger Task Force, supported the Hope Center, participated in Christmas with the Vets, helped with Reality Check Day, completed service projects at the Humane Society, and volunteered at many other events throughout our local communities. Each event looks a little different, but they all accomplish something important. They bring employees together around a shared experience. I've seen employees from completely different departments work side by side at a volunteer event and build relationships that continue long after the event is over. Those connections help strengthen culture inside the organization while making a positive impact outside of it. What makes corporate care so effective is that it brings employees together outside of their normal day-to-day roles. These events don't just benefit the community, they create connections, strengthen relationships, and build a greater sense of belonging within the organization. What starts as a volunteer opportunity often becomes a shared experience that employees talk about long after the event ends. But we also recognize that not every employee is passionate about the same cause. That's why the second part of our strategy is just as important. As much as employees enjoy volunteering together, we also recognize that not everyone's passionate about the same cause. That's why Corporate Central offers volunteer time off, or VTO. Employees receive up to 16 hours each year to volunteer with a qualifying 501(c)(3) organization of their choosing. This gives employees the flexibility to support causes that are personally meaningful to them, whether that's helping veterans, supporting youth programs, volunteering at an animal shelter, or serving their faith community. Employees have the freedom to choose where they want to make an impact. What makes VTO so valuable is the sense of ownership it creates. Employees aren't simply participating in an event that we selected. They're supporting causes they care deeply about. That personal connection often leads to a stronger volunteer experience and a greater sense of purpose. It also reinforces the idea that volunteerism isn't one size fits all. Employees have different passions, different interests, and different ways they want to give back. When combined with corporate cares, VTO helps us create a balanced approach that provides both structure and flexibility, making volunteerism accessible to a wider range of employees. Corporate cares and VTO may look very different on the surface, but together they've taught us one of the most important lessons about employee participation. Employees are more likely to participate when volunteer opportunities fit their needs. For some, that's a company organized event. For others, it's the freedom to support a cause they're passionate about. The combination of corporate cares and VTO allows us to meet employees where they are. Many organizations stop after creating a volunteer policy. HR's role is much bigger. Our role is creating awareness, generating excitement, celebrating participation, and continually connecting volunteerism back to organizational purpose. But even the best volunteer programs can lose momentum if we're not careful. In fact, I found that many participation challenges can be traced back to a few common mistakes. Along the way, we have discovered that successful volunteer programs have a few things in common. First, volunteerism should be invited, not required. The goal is authentic engagement. When participation feels forced, enthusiasm and commitment often disappear. We've also learned that a one-size-fits-all approach rarely works. Not every employee is passionate about the same cause, which is why offering a variety of opportunities and giving employees some choice is so important. Just as important, employees don't just listen to what leaders say, they watch what leaders do. If leaders aren't participating, employees may assume that volunteerism isn't truly a priority. When leaders volunteer alongside employees, however, it sends a powerful message that community involvement matters and helps create momentum throughout the organization. Finally, don't underestimate the importance of communication. Employees can't participate in opportunities they don't know about. Consistent promotion, sharing photos, highlighting impact stories, and celebrating participation all help build awareness and excitement. The most successful volunteer programs aren't built by policies alone. They're built through visible leadership support, meaningful opportunities, ongoing communication, and a culture that encourages participation. When employees see volunteerism being lived, not just talked about, it becomes part of who the organization is. The lessons we've learned have shaped the approach we use today. Let me share 5 practical tips that have made the biggest impact for us. Successful volunteer programs don't happen overnight. They grow over time through consistent effort and employee support. First, start small. You don't need a year-long calendar of events or a large budget. Start with one meaningful opportunity and build from there. Second, secure leadership participation. Leadership support isn't optional. It is one of the strongest drivers of participation and credibility. Third, offer variety. Employees have different interests, passions, schedules, and causes they care about. The more options you provide, the more opportunities employees have to find something meaningful to them. Fourth, share stories and photos. One of the best ways to build excitement is to show employees the impact they're making. Photos, testimonials, and success stories help create momentum and encourage others to get involved. And finally, measure and celebrate the impact. Track participation, volunteer hours, and community impact. But don't stop there. Celebrate the stories, relationships, and connections that are being created along the way. Remember, the goal isn't simply to increase volunteer hours. It's to create opportunities for employees to connect with each other, connect with the community, and connect with a larger purpose. Small actions repeated consistently can create a culture where volunteerism becomes part of who your organization is, not just something your organization does. So, how do you know if those efforts are working? Let's talk about what success looks like and how to measure it. As HR professionals, we naturally want to measure success, but success is about more than counting attendees. Participation rates and volunteer hours are important because they tell us whether employees are getting involved. But I encourage you to look beyond the numbers. Pay attention to employee feedback. Are employees enjoying the experience? Are they asking about future opportunities? Are they feeling more connected to the coworkers in the organization? Look at cross-department participation as well. One of the hidden benefits of volunteerism is that it brings together employees who may not normally work together, helping build relationships across the organization. And don't forget to capture impact stories. The number of volunteer hours is valuable, but the stories behind the hours often tell the real story. Those stories help demonstrate the impact on both the community and your employees. Ultimately, the question isn't just how many people participated, it's whether volunteerism is deepening employee engagement. Are employees taking pride in the organization? Are they becoming more invested in the mission? Are they developing stronger relationships and a greater sense of belonging? Those are often the indicators that matter most. One of the best ways to see that impact is through a real world example. I'd like to share with you a real world example of volunteerism in action at Corporate Central. Each year, Corporate Central hosts the Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk. Tunnel to Towers honors the sacrifices of first responders and military heroes while supporting veterans, service members, and their families. It's a mission that resonates deeply with many of our employees and partners. But what makes this event special for us isn't just the cause, it's the people. Every year, employees from across our organization volunteer their time to help plan, organize, promote, sponsor, and participate in the event. Employees bring their families. Credit union partners bring teams. Sponsors step forward to support the mission. What begins as a fundraising event becomes something much bigger. It becomes a shared experience. For one morning, job titles don't matter. Departments don't matter. People come together around a common purpose and work side by side to make a difference. As volunteer race director, I've had the privilege of watching employees take ownership of the event, volunteer in countless ways, and genuinely invest themselves in this event. The enthusiasm and commitment they bring each year is incredible. To me, that's the real power of volunteerism. When I think about volunteerism at Corporate Central, I don't think about policies or participation rates. I think about seeing employees, family members, credit union partners, and community members showing up year after year because they believe in the mission. That's when you realize volunteerism is no longer just a program, it's part of the culture. When people ask how volunteerism strengthens culture, this is my answer. It turns coworkers into teammates. It creates memories, stories, and connections that last long after the event is over. And it reminds us that the credit union philosophy of people helping people is at its best when we bring it to life together. The good news is that every organization has the opportunity to build that kind of culture. You don't need to start with a large event or a mature program. You simply need a place to begin. As we wrap up today, I'd like to leave with you one simple challenge. You don't need a perfect volunteer program. You don't need a large budget, and you don't need every detail figured out before you begin. What you do need is a starting point. Maybe that means launching one new volunteer initiative. Maybe it means adding flexibility through volunteer time off. Or maybe it simply means encouraging volunteers to participate and lead by example. And if you're looking for an easy way to get started, consider putting together a team and joining us for Corporate Central's Tunnel to Towers 5K run and walk. Sometimes the best way to begin building a culture of volunteerism is to simply participate in an event that already exists. The credit union movement was built on the philosophy of people helping people. Volunteerism is one of the most powerful ways we can bring that philosophy to life, not just for our communities, but for our employees as well. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's session, it's this. Volunteerism isn't just good for communities, it's good for culture, it's good for engagement, and it's good for business. So when you return to your organization, ask yourself, what's one step we can take to create more opportunities for employees to connect, contribute, and make a difference? You don't have to start with a large program. You just have to start. One event, one opportunity, and one team can make a lasting impact. As HR leaders, we're constantly searching for ways to improve engagement, culture, and retention. Volunteerism may be one of the most underutilized tools available to us. When done intentionally, volunteerism transforms people helping people from a slogan into an experience. It gives employees an opportunity to live the values we talk about every day while building stronger cultures and making a meaningful impact on our communities. Thank you for being here today. And now I would like to open it up for any questions.
Thanks so much, Amy. That was great. Um, I'm looking at the chat. Looks like we don't have any questions as of right now. I will be sending out a follow-up email with the recording, the slides, and the survey I dropped into the chat. So if any questions do come up, feel free to shoot Amy a message or any of our Corporate Central members as well, or our Corporate Central team members, sorry. But other than that, if no one else has any other questions, we can wrap up here right at 11:30. Thank you all for joining today. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Oh, it looks like we do have one quick question. Who oversees the 5K run/walk? Amy or Will, if you guys want to chime in with that.
Um, I am the volunteer director, so I oversee that through Corporate Central, and then I have connections in the New York Tunnel to Towers.
And Michaela, if you want, we can follow up as well if you want any more additional information on that too. Marketing is involved from a communication standpoint and advertising, I would say. Amy or Will, did you want to add anything else on that?
Yeah, it's definitely a team project. Marketing helps so much with getting the word out, and makes my job a whole lot easier.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.